So today I want to talk about, something I read in a 12-step group chat, which is not, I don't know even the source. It wasn't from actual 12 steps, but they called it the 12 steps of insanity. We admitted we were powerless over nothing, that we could manage our lives perfectly and those of anyone who would let us. 2, we came to believe that there was no power greater than ourselves and the rest of the world was insane. 3, we made a decision to have our loved ones turn their wills and lives over to our care, even though they couldn't understand us at all. And 4, made a searching, fearless moral inventory of everyone else we knew. 5, admitted to the world the exact nature of someone else's wrongs. And 6, we're entirely ready to make others give us the respect we so rightfully deserved. 7, demanded others do our will because we're always right. And 8, made a list of all persons who had harmed us, became willing to go to any lengths to get even with them. 9, got direct revenge on such people whenever possible, except when to do so would cost us our lives, at the very least a jail sentence. And 10, continued to take inventory of others and when they were wrong, promptly and repeatedly told them about it. 11, sought through complaining and medication to improve our relations with others as we would not understand them at all, asking only that they do things our way. And 12, having had a complete physical, spiritual, emotional breakdown as a result of these steps, we blamed it on others, tried to get sympathy and pity in all our affairs. Okay, so in chapter 19, mesilat Yesharim, we learn about how a person, so we're continuing from yesterday, the last video, actually. So we're learning how in berachot 17a, it says a person should always be clever in the fear of heaven. What does this mean? It means to be creative and gratifying Hashem. And it is a tremendous honor that he deems us connected and grants to us when he's the lofty one and we're low. Yet in his humility to bestow honor upon us and give us the holy words, his holy words, we get the opportunity to honor them with all our strength and demonstrate the extent of their esteem to us. True fear of Hashem, yirat haromimut, fear of his exaltedness, not fear of punishment, because it's not primary or leading to the good traits, but this is the fear, yirat haromimut, near to the feelings of intense love, which endears the service of Hashem through honor. Included is the Shabbos honor and also honoring the Torah and those who study it. Whoever honors the Torah is himself honored by the people. That's pirkei avot 4:6. And as well as also the Torah scrolls themselves, and not to throw away the holy writings, even the halachos, the laws, and agadot, the stories, and even the order of putting the books. You can't put the Nevi'im, Ksuvim, the writings and the prophets, on top of a Chumash, the Pentateuch, the 5 books of Moses. But these apply to all Jews, and the Chassid should actually add on to them, the pious one, not studying Torah with unclean hands or in filthy places or even in thoughts, and to honor the scholars, like it says in Vayikra, Leviticus 19:32, rise before an elder, respect the face of the learned. And in tehillim in 15:4, it says he honors those who fear God. Tehillim is the Psalms by King David. And also this is about honoring the synagogues, which are the shuls and the houses of study. Now we're moving into love of God, because we were talking about fear of God. Love of God has 3 elements: joy, clinging, and jealousy. Joy, we'll start with the beginning. So a person actually yearns and lusts for closeness to Hashem, chasing his holiness as one chases something he intensely desires. A mere mention of his name, speaking his praises, and occupying himself with the words of his Torah divinity literally becomes a delight, a pleasure, as if it was the wife of his youth or his only son. So even speaking of them brings pleasure, gratification. He won't forego his service for any reason unless forced, and he won't need any persuasion or enticement to serve him. Rather, his heart will lift him and rush to him, unless there is a great blocking barrier. An independent, unconditional love, not because he bestows good to him, grants him wealth and success, but like a natural love, like a son for a father, which compels and forces him to this. And this is from devarim 32:6, Deuteronomy. It says, "Is he not your father, your master?" Difficulties, times of troubles, test this love, because it says, with all your soul, even if he takes your soul, with all your might, with all your possessions. There's two consolations so that troubles and distress don't become difficulties or impediments to the love of Hashem. The first is for everyone, it's universal. Everything God does is for the good, as it says in berachot 60b. Even the pain and difficulty that appears to one's eye as evil, like a surgeon, when cutting away an infection to save and heal the rest of the body, could seem like a cruel act if you just looked at that, but it's actually a true mercy to benefit him in the end. In truth, the good will bring him to even more love, like the patient will love the doctor who does the surgery even more than before the procedure when he's after the procedure. Whatever Hashem does to a person, to his body or possessions, is for his good, even if he doesn't understand or see it. The second consolation is for the wise, those of true understanding. They're not motivated by their own interests, but their aim is to increase his name's honor, Hashem, and bring him gratification. If you need me to say she, her honor, whatever. The more impediments increase, the more they strengthen their hearts to overcome, rejoicefully demonstrating the strength of their faith as if they're like a military general, distinguished for bravery, who always chooses the most difficult battle to demonstrate his prowess in emerging victorious. This matter is familiar by every lover of flesh and blood who will rejoice when given an opportunity to show the subject of his love just how powerful is the extent of his love to the beloved. Clinging, ceasing to take interest or and turning to turn at anything else but him. The goal is ultimately to cling with the heart at all times and moments, at the very least at the times of service. Joy. Great essential principle is the righteous will rejoice. This is from Tehillim, Psalms 68:4. The divine presence rests on a person only through his rejoicing in a mitzvah. That's from Shabbat 30b. True joy in a person's heart, delighting that he merits to serve Hashem, the one and only, Almighty, of whom there is none like him, and toiling in his mitzvos, and Torah, which is true perfection and the eternal worth. The further a person merits to enter into the inner chambers of knowledge of his blessed greatness, the more his joy will increase and his heart will sing within him. Like King David said, like King David's joy. His joy was intensely growing, where he would engage in the blessed God's praises that his lips would already move and sing on their own because of the soul's great flaming ablaze with joy before God. Tehillim 71:23. My lips sing praises when I sing to you, and my soul which you have redeemed. Because you didn't serve the Lord your God with joy and gladness of heart. In devarim 28:4, Hashem complains about the Jewish people lacking this condition in their service. And finally, now we have jealousy. This is the kind of jealousy where you're jealous for the sake of his holy name, hating those who hate him, striving to subdue them so Hashem's service be done and his honor increased. If you don't rebuke when you can, then you know that refraining, the sage has said, is like he himself is held accountable for the sinner's sin because you didn't rebuke him. When you love your fellow, you can't bear the sight of others insulting or beating him, and you'll certainly go out to help him. So too, he who loves Hashem's blessed name will be unable to bear seeing the desecration of his name, God forbid, and transgressing of his mitzvahs. Those who praise the wicked on his wickedness and don't rebuke, his deeds to his face are forsakers of Torah, who abandon it to be desecrated, God forbid. But the Torah guardians strengthen themselves to strengthen it. They contend with the wicked, and they're unable to restrain themselves and just be silent. So, I wanted to share. I went to a few meetings, like 12-step meetings, multiple different programs, just to get deeper into this for myself. So first of all, I was like trying to understand, in terms of food, right? Like how to directly connect with Hashem in a way, even through the food. So I was realizing, like, there may have been a deep-seated fear, like that I was gonna face bad karma forever, like I'd have to keep self-punishing, and my desires have, and I would wish it was all just enough, but my desires kept increasing even with my gratitude. And also thinking I wanted a hero parent to get all the bad out of me, like somebody out there. Then it will be time for a husband so I could be new and receptive, and a sense of emotional safety instead of the escalation and avoidance, because I was sick of waiting for my partner. Like, I didn't know, it's possible. So I was feeling like afraid. So it's like about self-worth and, this consciousness of consumption in all my affairs, whether it's media, relationships, and that inner conflict of self-will versus my higher power's will, and having trouble differentiating which is the inner voice, which is which. And I also thought that others cooking for me was like the worth, the value to make me more important, but my sense of self-worth and value has gone up when I prepare and cook for myself. And I also went to a meeting about consuming something. At that time, I had 44 days of not consuming it. Now it's already more. Now it's like, it's more than 60 days. It's 64 days. So it's 20 more days later, where I was thinking the pros of not doing that was productive, able to be more direct, more vulnerable, to behave more appropriate and be less judgmental, and to rest more and have a sense of having a body temple. The cons were that I was actually noticing that there was like, I had more of a sense of, certain things like that I didn't feel like I'm getting enough affection. I was having a hard time with grief and self-soothing and a sense of responsibility, and also facing the wreckage that I did or was done to me. And there was a loneliness or codependency, and there was also this like projection of doom or devastation. And then in a different program, sort of like where you look at your inner child and like I was trying to understand also to relate in terms of family. What is family? And it was I was getting out of my system people who from that came through my father. It was like this guy who saw me as innocent and I felt he wanted to destroy me. Another guy who like only wanted to he wanted to like use me in a like a very like I don't even want to call it destructive, like just Sodom and Gomorrah, like the first place I mentioned. And I didn't. And then somebody else who wanted to take my innocence and sort of like discarded me when he was done. And then another man who used me when I was like not fully present and conscious. And then somebody who took advantage of me. Like it was all coming through the sense of like trusting the wrong person, like through my dad. So like my inner child, I was giving my inner child to like the like giving the inner child to the wrong man. And these men would corrupt, use, pervert, and discard, unfortunately. And then I went to another meeting about love, and it's like avoidance, connection, relationship, not just sex, but like attachment and aversion. And so I was thinking about being in truth with the intent, with the effort, that we have a God-sized whole for appreciation, soothing, connection, worth. Like it's not clear that somebody will ever be able to fit all of that, right? And I was realizing that there was someone in my life where there wasn't a power struggle. I could really be me, and I felt like I was actually able to say ouch rather than hurt him. And I unfortunately tried to hurt him, and I felt like I did, and he would run away or say that I couldn't hurt him, but really like it was about healing. And also noticing there's a balance of like upregulation with familiar and then downregulation. A balance of newness and upregulation, and then like familiar and downregulation, and feeling also responsible for the inner child and other people, like in the relationships because of the inner child in the past, thinking someone else, like giving my inner child for someone to be responsible. I was also feeling like people had done that. Like I felt like to take on someone else's. I was thinking like, certain people in my life. And also like, I felt like in some ways I had even made them care for me in that way, like my inner child. And maybe they're not the wrong people. Maybe one of them was, or maybe both of them were, but it wasn't, it was like a way for me to see that maybe like that's not the best boundaries. Like the responsibility of my inner child is for me now, especially that I'm an adult and I'm aware of all these patterns. Okay, so we'll stop here. All the best. Bye.